Alright, I had an idea for a Kirby like cinematic universe on SGC5 Discord, and a lot of people really like that. I figured, hey, why not make a video basically explaining it? I don't know if I'm just gonna explain the first idea for a movie I had in this video or not, but basically this video isn't gonna be like a typical video of mine in case you're a regular on my channel. There's going to be very few editing. I usually put like memes and stuff in, but this is going to be like one of those like videos where just like PNGs of characters in the background because I just want this to be like as clear and as easy to follow as humanly possible. Um, so with that being said, man, let's get into it. By the way, I do think we will be getting a Kirby movie at some point. But I think it's worth mentioning we're also going to need to wait after pretty much every other Nintendo franchise has gotten a movie, which is sad because I kind of really want. Now, unfortunately, another thing of a Kirby movie is you got to think about both how good the movie is and how marketable the movie is. Because Kirby, it's not like Mario or Zelda, right? Like, yeah, it's guaranteed to be a success. Um, given a certain budget, it's not guaranteed to like generate sequels and become like a major franchise. So you got to really get it right the first try. All right. So basically, the game that I think the movie should be based on, is Kirby Superstar, and the reason for that is, Kirby Superstar is simply the most iconic Kirby game. It's not the fan favorite Kirby game. It's not the best selling Kirby game, but it is definitely the most iconic Kirby game there is. Plus, um, Marx is the most iconic Kirby villain, unless you count King Dedede or Meta Knight as a villain, which most people probably honestly don't even know they were evil, because they're just like genuinely never portrayed in a villainous light anymore, or really even back then, if I'm being honest. Like they really, really only one time where Meta Knight's the bad guy, and believe it or not, that is in Superstar. And technically, Kirby's Adventure. I also wanted to mention before people start saying Magalore, this is me editing it. Magalore is more of a fan favorite character. Like people who aren't fans of the series, like that don't even know who he is. So among Kirby fans, I would say he is, but in terms of like the general public, like yeah, it's Marx by far. So because of how iconic Marx is, I think he'd be a good first villain. Uh, just because like everyone knows who he is, or I guess there will be like some people that are only in the theater just because of Kirby himself. Because let's face it, Kirby himself is the most iconic Kirby character, and it isn't even fucking close. But maybe Meta Knight's up there too, but it's not close. So there's probably people only going there because Kirby's like adorable. So maybe there's people that won't know like anything about it, but like we're gonna have to assume that they're like the vast, vast minority of the people inside of the cinema. I'll try to make this as like coherent as a regular story as I can, but I'm the one who's like uh, who I did most of this. Like I mean, I will give Shawkai credit though because he's the one who suggested like just like taking elements from other Kirby games, and I think that worked out very well. So I'll give him credit for that. Most of this is just my ideas. Um, I'll try to credit like other people's ideas if they come up, but most of this is my idea. Anyways, I'm just gonna get into it. So basically, like how the movie would start is basically like you ever played Triple Deluxe? Like I feel like this should just be like 5 minutes of just Kirby, going around. Like again, if you played Triple Deluxe, it's basically that, but like before Taranza shows up. I think that would be perfect for the movie. Yeah, and maybe there'd be Easter eggs and other Kirby games. It starts out with DDD stealing all of the food because why else would it start like that? You know, Basically the reason for that is I think it's important that King Dedede and Meta Knight. We'll get into Meta Knight later, but I think it's important that both of them start out villainous. And it'll make sense when I describe the story, so I'll just describe the story. So basically, King Dedede steals all the food. Kirby learns that from like just some random Waddle Dee. And by the way, I don't think Kirby should talk in the movie. Well, I actually would prefer if Kirby talked in the movie, but I don't think he will talk in the movie, just because it's like people are too used to like the Kirby we know and love. Um, but yeah, so it's probably going to be just played like just making sounds and all that, and I'm going to be like writing the movie, or this is I don't really even have a script. These are just kind of ideas that I like laid out. But basically, the movie's going to be designed around that. But anyways, basically the Dreamland One part is unchanged until the DDD fight itself, where when Kirby beats DDD, Dark Matter comes out, and the reason why the Dark Matter Swordsman is in this is because simply so we can have an excuse to have the DDD personality we all know and love, and as to why he would be doing something like that. Plus, this is King DDD we're talking about. Like, he gets possessed in literally almost every Kirby game. He doesn't get a break, except in like Return to Dreamland. He doesn't get a break, so it would be fitting. Anyways, so yeah, the Dark Matter Swordsman isn't just for fan service, but basically, Dark Matter almost kills Kirby, but just at the last minute, King DDD steps in and helps Kirby beat Dark Matter, where they shake hands, and that is the end of that part of the movie. The next part of the movie is the halberd from Superstar. I forget what it's actually called, but you know, basically like the whole Meta Knight stuff from Superstar that's unchanged. There's like a little scene where Kirby and Meta Knight are like talking to each other, all that stuff. Which, by the way, Meta Knight has got to be a Spanish dude, okay? Okay, he is too Spanish to not be Spanish, Okay, the guy in right back at you. Like, I just can't picture Meta Knight as someone who isn't Spanish. I also can't picture DDD as someone who isn't Southern, but like, I mean, let's be real. Ted Lewis is not going to be in the movie. I kind of wish he was, because I freaking love the Right Back at You DDD. The thing is with the Right Back at You DDD is he's just an asshole. The King DDD from the games in Smash Bros. And the King DDD that everyone knows is genuinely a good person. So we can't have him return to the movie because he has to be a good guy in the movie. So unfortunately, we're not getting another bag of them chips. But yeah, basically, Kirby beats Meta Knight um, as normal. And we're also going to have Bandana D running into the movie here. Basically, he'd be watching Kirby, and he would confront Kirby sometime after defeating Meta Knight. He'd be like, I don't know, he'd say something like, I could see you beating the Sire. I mean, people have. But beating Sir Meta Knight and his whole army by yourself, there's nothing in my mind that doubts that you could take over this whole planet if you wanted to. But you haven't. Why? And then Kirby just goes, "Hiyo." Man, a few words I see. Well, if you don't mind, could we spar? And then they basically spar, just so we can see what Banana D is capable of. Um, and basically to become friends with that, because that is a very, very common fate of people who fight Kirby. At some point, Bandana Waddle Dee would be contacted by King Dedede. What King Dedede would be explaining is the plot of Kirby's Adventure. Like, Bandana Waddle Dee would then say, "Oh crap, we need to go get the Star Rod so the Nightmare Wizard doesn't show up." Then King Dedede would clarify, "Actually, I have a plan to stop that." You see, someone informed me that Popstar isn't the only planet in our solar system that has a Fountain of the Dreams in it, and the Nightmare Wizard is weak to the Star Rod. So as long as we don't put this Star Rod in, we could get a Star Rod ourselves, and we can use that to stop the Nightmare Wizard. And Banana Wallady's like, all right, cool. And Kirby's like, Poyo. I don't know, because again, Kirby isn't talking in this movie. There's just no way he would talk. Now, basically, King Dedede would ask Kirby for his help. He'd be like, listen, kid, I know we have our differences, but like, this is some real shit we're in right now. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is real shit. Like, I need to get my goddamn dreams in. Like, this is real. I'd be honored if you'd be willing to assist us. Because this nightmare dude means business. And, and Kirby, of course, would agree to help. And they would also go get Meta Knight, who they'd also be able to convince to help. Now, keep in mind, Meta Knight wasn't possessed. He genuinely did want to take over Dreamland. But you remember, he had the noble reasons for wanting to do so. Or at least reasons he believed to be noble. And that being, he just genuinely thought he would do a better job, and like the city and like the country was going to hell. So basically, I think three of them would easily be able to convince Meta Knight to help them, and they would also use the halberd to actually go through the um, solar system to get the star rods. So basically, the plan is they need four star rods, one for each of them. So like one for Meta Knight, one for King DDD, one for Banana D, and one for Kirby himself. And then what they'll do is they'll put the star rod in the fountain, which will summon the Nightmare Wizard. But they'll be prepared to stop him, since the other star rods do not summon their own Nightmare Wizard. Anyways, during this would basically be King DDD and Meta Knight's redemption. Because again, it'd be important for them to be redeemed. Because these guys are very good people in other Kirby games, so like they need to be seen as like good people. Especially if they're going to make more movies with these guys in them. Like you can't just be seen as like, hey, didn't you try to steal all the food so everyone else in the world would starve except your fat ass? Hmm. Okay, but instead of the planets from Superstar, though, I think it'd be better if they went to the planets from Kirby 64, just because they're more iconic, and just because the bosses from them would be better to see. Like Miracle Matter would be pretty dope to see. Now, basically, the planets they'll go to are Aquastar, Neostar, and Shiverstar. Um, and the reason for that is they're just my favorite planets from Kirby 64. And in addition, just to keep it a little bit faithful, they'll go to one area like they went into in Superstar, and that'll be the one Ram Bam Jewel was fought in, just because like he's kind of like one of the main bosses in that game. Aside from like Meta Knight himself, who we already covered, and Marks, who I'll get into later. So I think he should still get to be in the movie. So basically, once they get all these star rods, they summon the Nightmare Wizard, and yeah, he basically just behaves like a nightmare. However, what the heroes do not know is that there's actually a fifth star rod. Sorry, six. Sorry, because I forgot I take into account the Pop Star one. There's actually a sixth star rod, and that one's on Ripple Star. Because you see, the person who told DDD about the star rods is Marks, as probably most people watching the video got. Hi, I'm editing the video, and I just realized I didn't really explain Marcus's plan very well. So hey, might as well do that now. Basically, um, he said there was only four star rods, excluding the one on Popstar, when there's actually five. So DDD would only get four people to get a star rod, and he told them he was on the planets he said they were, and not Ripple Star, so he can go to the one in Ripple Star. With Ripple Star, of course, being the easiest one, because Ripple Star is the easiest, like, safest of all the planets in Kirby 64 on a normal day. And it would be a normal day in this movie. So basically, since the heroes had the other Star Rods, he would be able to summon Nova, because all six Star Rods are out of place. And he would be able to guarantee he makes the wish, because they would be distracted fighting the Nightmare Wizard while he's making the wish, to become ruler of Popstar or to gain the power to rule Popstar. Whatever one works more narratively. So yeah, that was his plan. But yeah, Marks is the one who also summoned nightmares, so he, basically didn't show that it would happen. I'm not actually sure how you would summon him, but Marks is the one who did it. However you do it. And the reason why I decided to like hide Marks is like appearance total is just because Marks is very iconic, and I think him being in the movie at all, he'd be way too obvious of a villain because like pretty much everyone knows he's a bad guy. It's kind of it would kind of be way too obvious. That and the character development that would be spent on Marks, making him seem like a good person, so his betrayal would hurt, would have to be spent on King Dedede and Meta Knight on convincing them that they're good people. And like, even Banana Waddle Dee, actually, just so you know what kind of person he is. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to develop Marks anyway. So I think it'd be better to just hide him. That, and because everyone knows he's a villain, the only way to really trick people into him being the villain is to trick people into thinking that this is a Kirby's Adventure movie when it is actually a Kirby Superstar movie. As then they'd think, oh, the Nightmare is going to be the final boss of the movie, but in reality, he's a diversion. So basically, they're fighting Nightmare, and then they defeat him, or maybe Marx defeats. I don't know, but like basically they defeat Nightmare in some way, and then they find out what Marx is doing, or maybe we actually get to see Marx's wish. I'm not really sure how this part of the movie would go. Basically, Marx would show up and he'd be like, "You fell right into my trap, didn't you, D?" You see this planet? It's mine now. You see, and it basically just explains all the shit that I just explained. Um, and then the four people, they're naturally very pissed off about this, so they team up to stop Marx. And basically, they fight Marx. Uh, yeah, it basically goes the same as it goes in Superstar, but I do think Marx needs to have an updated moveset just because his original one is very basic. We'll say he has all of the moves he has in his soul form, just because we're not going to actually get to see his soul form ever. And he's going to have all the attacks he has in Smash Ultimate because, again, he basically needs as much as he can get. But anyways, yeah, it's going to be a pretty good fight. But basically it ends the same way with the four of them uniting forces to throw him, or maybe just Kirby, I don't know. But either way, he gets thrown into the Nova. The Nova explodes. And basically the four of them restore order to Dreamland when Marx basically fucked everything up. But basically, man, Marx doesn't land on Dreamland. I just imagine a post-credit scene. Okay, tell me how hyped this would be. So we see Marx just on a distant planet. He's talking to this figure, explaining what happened. And then basically, right when he's done explaining, like we don't actually see who he's talking to, by the way. But basically, when he's done explaining to whoever he's talking to, we cut and we see some volcanoes in the background, and then a set of yellow eyes.